Welcome to Real Crime Zone, where we uncover the darkest and most shocking true crime stories. Today's case will leave you questioning everything. It's not just disturbing, it's downright twisted. This is the tragic story of Carol Maltesi, a 26-year-old OnlyFans star and the mother of a 6-year-old daughter who vanished without a trace. Known to her fans by her screen name, Charlotte Angie, she was last seen near her home just outside Milan, Italy in January. But a few days later, a horrifying discovery was made. Dismembered body parts were found stuffed in bin bags, and shockingly, they were identified as Carol's. But the question is, who could have done something so brutal to her? Was it someone she trusted? Or was this all part of a deeper, more sinister plan? Join us as we dive deep into the twisted case of Carol Maltesi, unraveling the dark secrets and shocking revelations behind this chilling crime. Carol Maltesi, born in 1995, grew up in Italy in a family that faced challenges early on. Her parents separated when she was young, with her father moving to the Netherlands while her mother, Josephine, raised her on her own in Italy. Carol was an energetic and vibrant child with a passion for dancing, horseback riding, and traveling. She also had a natural talent for languages and loved reading books. In 2015, when she was just 20, Carol's life took a dramatic turn. She discovered she was pregnant with her boyfriend's child, which brought new challenges. To provide a better life for their family, they moved to Verona, where Carol worked as a shoe store consultant. For a time, it seemed like things were improving. However, in 2019, her personal life shifted again when she fell in love with another man. This led to a breakup with her son's father, and Carol started fresh by moving in with her new partner. She made the tough decision to leave her son with his biological father. Around this time, Carol's mother fell seriously ill with a neurodegenerative disease, and Carol wanted to be there for her. Unfortunately, the pandemic in 2020 and its lockdowns in Italy made that impossible. Unable to work due to the restrictions, Carol faced financial difficulties, and supporting her son from a distance became more challenging. In a bid to make ends meet, Carol tried creating a YouTube channel about life under lockdown. But when that didn't bring in enough income, she turned to OnlyFans, using the screen name Charlotte Angie. She created adult content and found quick success, reportedly earning as much as £10,000 a month. This financial success helped her overcome her money problems, but it also came with a heavy price. Many of her friends judged her harshly for her career choice, and some even cut ties with her. But Carol didn't let the criticism stop her. She viewed her work as a form of art and self-expression. In her opinion, Italy wasn't as open-minded about careers in the adult industry compared to the other countries. As her fame grew, she was invited to take part in adult film shoots and public appearances. Even though she was making good money and enjoying her success, Carol hinted in interviews that her time in the industry was temporary. She had other dreams for her future. However, the work was taking a toll on her emotionally, especially with the societal judgment and the pressure of her career. Little did she know, her life was about to take a tragic turn. After breaking up with her boyfriend over disagreements about her career, Carol Maltesi sought a fresh start. She moved to a small town near Milan called Rescaldina and got a job at a perfume shop. However, the pull of the adult entertainment industry was too strong, and she soon quit her retail job to return to filming adult content. Around this time, Carol met David Fontana, a 42-year-old banker with a passion for photography. Despite being married, David was involved in secret relationships with young women he met online for explicit photo shoots. He quickly became infatuated with Carol after meeting her in 2020, and what started as a paid arrangement soon turned into something more. By March 2021, David confessed his affairs to his wife and pursued a divorce, determined to build a life with Carol. That's when David's involvement in Carol's career deepened. He began assisting her with creating adult content and took a cut of her earnings. While he accepted her participation in films and public performances, his jealousy surfaced when Carol's ex-boyfriend tried to rekindle their relationship. Even though Carol rejected her ex's advances, David became insecure, resorting to making threatening phone calls and allegedly damaging her ex's car, though this was never proven. By this point, Carol's OnlyFans account had skyrocketed, gaining over 30,000 subscribers. She regularly traveled between Italy and the Netherlands to film content, and her career was thriving. She was earning enough to seriously consider retiring and focusing on long-term goals. Then in late 2021, Carol found new love with a colleague named Salvatore. He proposed to her, and she accepted, eager to start a fresh chapter in her life. However, David was still very much involved in her life, both emotionally and financially. Although Carol was secretly meeting with Salvatore and planning a future with him, she remained living with David, who was profiting from their arrangement. But things took a dark turn in early 2021 when Carol suddenly vanished from the public eye. Friends, family, and fans wondered where she had gone. Was she taking a break, or was something wrong? Though she wasn't seen in person, Carol's online presence continued. She was still answering messages and even making purchases with her bank card, leading people to believe that she might have just needed some time away. However, when loved ones called her phone, David answered instead. He reassured everyone that Carol was okay and simply wanted to be left alone, but as time passed, her friends and family grew more suspicious. Something didn't add up, and those close to Carol felt deep down that something was wrong, though they couldn't figure out exactly what had happened. On March 20, 2022, a man was walking near Borno, a small town close to Brescia, where he came across some suspicious black garbage bags at the bottom of a cliff. His curiosity led him to investigate, and what he found inside was horrifying: a human hand. The police were immediately called to the scene. When they arrived, they discovered 4 large garbage bags. These bags had been tossed from the cliff and scraped against rocks on the way down, potentially damaging the contents inside. What they found next was deeply disturbing. The bags contained 18 dismembered body parts. The body had been severely mutilated, making it hard to identify. The face was so damaged it couldn't be recognized, and some parts of the body had been stripped of flesh, suggesting the killer had experience, possibly as a hunter or butcher. Experts also believed the remains had been stored in a freezer before being discarded. This led to investigators initially think that they were dealing with a serial killer because of how professionally the body had been handled. At this stage, it was impossible to determine the victim's gender or cause of death, requiring a more in-depth forensic analysis. The local police, the Carabinieri, held a press conference asking the public for help. They didn't have enough information to identify the victim, but they were hoping witnesses might come forward with clues. The cause of death was also still unknown at this point, as forensic experts worked hard to piece together the details. Eventually, they were able to make some progress. The victim was identified as a young woman, around 155 centimeters tall, with dark hair and painted purple nails. She had 11 tattoos, though most of them had been intentionally damaged by the killer, likely to make identification difficult. The forensic team confirmed that the remains had indeed been stored in a freezer for some time before being thrown off the cliff. Finally, after thorough examination, the victim was identified as Carol Maltesi. Once her identity was confirmed, the police shared the details with the public, revealing her tattoos and more about the case that had shocked the town. Despite early efforts, the investigation into the discovery of Carol Maltesi's remains hit a dead end. But journalist Andrea Tortelli, intrigued by the case, took matters into his own hands. He analyzed the evidence and made some important deductions. Tortelli suspected that the killer lived near where the body was found and had known the victim personally. One thing puzzled him: why wasn't there a report of a missing person matching the victim's description? On March 26, 2022, a major break finally came when a witness recognized the victim's tattoos and identified her as Charlotte Angie, an adult film actress. This was a huge step forward for the investigation, and so Tortelli kept digging. He discovered that Charlotte's real name was Carol Maltesi, and she had worked with 2 different agencies. One of them mentioned that Carol had left the adult film business while the other agency gave Tortelli her phone number. When Tortelli tried to contact Carol, someone pretending to be her responded. Realizing that this could be the killer, Tortelli immediately informed the police on March 27, 2022. That same day, Tortelli published an article about the case. Though he didn't reveal sensitive details, the article made waves. It caused David Fontana, Carol's killer, to panic. Feeling the pressure, Fontana reported Carol as missing, along with her fiancé, Salvatore. At this point, Carol's father also spoke out, expressing his shock and devastation over the brutal murder of his daughter. On March 28, Carol's identity was officially confirmed, and a day later, on March 29, the police arrested David Fontana. Initially, Fontana was all over the place, giving inconsistent and confusing statements to the police, but eventually he confessed. Fontana admitted that during a violent video shoot, he had killed Carol. Afterward, he dismembered her body and stored it in a freezer for 3 months before dumping it. Carol's father was heartbroken. The entire situation was incredibly painful for him and the rest of the family. Carol's mother later shared the last message her daughter had sent to her, which added to the family's grief. The investigation revealed that Fontana had premeditated the crime, despite his attempts to claim it was an accident. He had been using Carol's phone to make it seem like she was still alive. The fact that David Fontana not only killed her but recorded the brutal attack on his phone made this murder even more tragic. Carol, who was just 26 at the time, was tied naked to a stripper pole with a bag over her head. Fontana struck her multiple times with a hammer before slitting her throat. After the attack, Fontana reportedly told the police he waited an entire day before trying to burn Carol's face to hide her identity. He then bought a saw, dismembered her body into 15 pieces, and stored the remains in bin bags inside a freezer he had purchased online. Fontana later dumped her body on the side of a road, thinking he had covered his tracks. In his confession, Fontana explained that the attack took place after filming a video together on January 10 or 11. The plan was to shoot 2 videos, with the second being more violent. Fontana claimed that he wasn't sure why he started hitting her with a hammer, but felt like he couldn't stop. After realizing what he had done, he said he slit Carol's throat to put her out of her misery. He tried to frame it as an act of kindness, but this didn't align with his earlier actions of trying to hide her identity and body, and Fontana later deleted the videos from his phone. The prosecution argued that his actions were driven by jealousy and greed, painting a picture of a man who couldn't stand the idea of losing control over Carol. Fontana was declared mentally fit and sentenced on June 12, 2023 to 30 years in prison. The court also ordered financial compensation to Carol's child, parents, and fiancé. However, the judges ruled that Fontana did not act with extreme cruelty or premeditation, at least from a legal perspective. The ruling shocked many, as the murder involved torturous elements. According to the judges, Fontana killed not out of jealousy, but because he couldn't bear the thought of losing Carol. They believed Carol had been using Fontana for her own personal interests, which eventually triggered his homicidal rage. Fontana admitted that he had grown dependent on Carol for emotional support and couldn't handle the idea of her leaving him. The sentencing sparked mixed reactions. While some felt justice had been served, others were outraged that the aggravating circumstances of premeditation and cruelty were not included in the final ruling. Fontana's 30-year sentencing left many wondering if it was a fair outcome given the horrific nature of the crime. While justice was served, the scars left by this horrifying crime will never fully heal for Carol's family and those who knew her. What do you think? Was the sentence just, or should it have been more severe? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this episode. If you found this story compelling, please like, share, and subscribe to stay updated with our next in-depth investigations on Real Crime Zone. See you in our next video.